Hi, guys. Thank you for joining me tonight. My name is Lisa, and I was going to do my live story on the silent killer that didn't kill me. And I was actually going to present it on Facebook. I'm sorry, YouTube. But YouTube instructed me last minute that I had to have 50 subscribers before I can go live on my channel. I just created the page a couple of weeks ago. So I'm asking you guys to help support me. I need 50 subscribers so I can go live. I want to share my whole story and let you know about the silent killer that didn't kill me. I will give you a little backstory about it, but I really want to share the full story in detail on YouTube where I can have a community that can follow me, that I can talk to. There's other things that I want to do as well. As you well know, if you do know me, y'all know I'm a travel specialist. And for those that don't, I have a background where I worked with JetBlue Vacation for years and as a travel specialist, travel agent, whatever name works with you. And I really just want to share my story. January 3rd, 2003, I'm sorry, January 3rd, 2024, I suffered a stroke. And it really is a silent killer, so you don't know it until it actually happens to you. And I just want to share my story in detail, tell you what's going on, and just fill you guys in on what's happening. I apologize. I'm trying to figure this out. It's asking me to invite people. I'm hitting it, but I don't know if it's going through. Okay. All right, guys. Let's see. Hey, Sissy, I see you. Hey, Kimberly, I see you. But I don't know if it's going through. Y'all know I'm new to this. I ain't true to it. So I'm trying to add y'all in and invite you. But what I was trying to say is I actually suffered a stroke January 3rd, 2024. And I really wasn't aware that it was actually a stroke that I was having. So what happened was I was getting ready for bed and I was a little sleepy and I was stumbling going to bed, and I just attributed to the fact that I was tired and exhausted. So I went to bed. And so that morning I woke up, and when I woke up, I was going to the restroom, and when I went to the restroom, I was stumbling going back to the restroom. So as I was coming out of the restroom, I still was a little dizzy and, stumbling. And so what happened was the Holy Spirit, I'm a spiritual person for those that don't know me. The Holy Spirit said, go to the front room and unlock the door. So I got up and went to the front room to unlock the door. And I sat there and I called 911. And when I called 911, they came and they said they did not know for sure, but it sounded like I may be having a mild stroke. So they asked me when did I start feeling, the way I was feeling. And I told them it started at 11:30 that night. And so they said, well, there's a medicine that's called a beta buster, but we can't give it to you because we can only give it to people within the first 4 hours of the symptoms. So it was beyond that time. So they took me to the hospital. And when they took me to the hospital, I was waiting to be seen. And eventually a doctor came and they said, okay, we're going to run some tests. We may have reason to believe it may be a stroke. And then they took me to get a CAT scan, a brain scan or whatever. And so they took me to get the test done. And I was waiting for the test results or whatever to come back. And when the doctor came back, he said, we want to confirm that yes, you did have a stroke. And we're going to have to put you in a room. And at that time, I really didn't believe that I was having a stroke because I was able to walk. It's just that I was stumbling, like, my equilibrium, my balance was off a little bit. So I just said, oh, I'm just tired. My blood pressure's probably high because at that time I had high blood pressure. Glucose, sugar was high. All the numbers were high. And I just attributed to, oh, my pressure's just up, I'll be okay. The reality hadn't really sunk in that, yes, you're having a stroke. And so they put me in a room. And when they put me in the room, they kept me overnight, in observation and whatever the normal tests and things that they do to a person that have a stroke. Because mind you, I'm still in denial, like I didn't have a stroke, my blood pressure just up and y'all gonna get my blood pressure down and I'm gonna go home because I'm walking. And we all know someone that has had a stroke. We've seen a neighbor, we've seen a family member, we've seen a friend that suffered a stroke, and you can even run into the store and see someone you don't even know, but you can tell they had a stroke because they're walking with a limp, their face is drooped, their mouth is twitched, their arm is drawn up, they're pushing a walker, they're walking with certain types of canes, so you kind of know what happened to them, but you really don't know the story. You just see the remnants of it and say, oh wow, they had a stroke. So I'm sitting there, in the room and, overnight and, one or two people came to see me and, I'm like, I'm okay, they said I had a mild stroke, but again, it still didn't hit me to the full effect of it. So the next day come and the doctor comes to see me. I was at Southeast Georgia Health System in Brunswick, Georgia. For you that don't know, I'm from
Strength and
Southeast
story.
Georgia. And so the doctor comes in and he says, the neurologist, he said, Miss Sheffield, I'm looking at, the CAT scan. I'm the neurologist, and it shows that you suffered a stroke on the left side of your brain. So I'm like, okay, And then he said, so what we're going to do is we're going to keep you for observation, for a couple of days and see how severe it was, what happened, if there's any more damage done. And then also sometimes people normally have many strokes behind one stroke. I'm like, oh, okay, still not really understanding it to the full gravity of what it was. So as that day went on, I happened to go to the restroom in my room. So I'm like getting up, to go to the restroom. I know to take my time because I know my pressure is up, so I'm a little dizzy. But when I got up to go, I could not really walk. So I'm dragging one of my legs trying to walk to get to the bathroom. So I stumbled and I made it there and then I came back out. And I'm like, wow, again, I'm still not just knowing the full gravity of what a stroke is and how it affects a person. So that's 24 hours. So then the next day, the second day came, and I'm getting up, just a normal routine when you're in the hospital. Of course, you're going to the restroom and nurses checking you and checking your vitals and these things. And I'm getting up again to go to the restroom. And at this particular point, I cannot even keep myself standing up to take a step to the bathroom. So I got up and I fell back down, on the hospital bed. And I'm like, calling the nurse, I need some help. I need some assistance. I'm trying to go to the restroom and I need a little assistance. And then they said, okay. So, of course, they assist me and help me and, brought me back. And I'm like, wow, what's going on? So now it's kind of settling in like something is wrong with you. So I'm sitting there. They bringing the tray, they bringing me something to eat at lunchtime at this time. So they bring my tray, and I said, okay, let me eat a little something. Well, I'm right-handed, so I'm lifting my hand to try to eat. Now I can't even lift my hand. It's like 20 pounds, like a 10-pound or 20-pound bag of sugar. That's just how heavy the gravity of my arm was that I could not even lift it. So now I'm literally using my other hand to lift my hand. And I'm like, oh my God, something is going on. Like something is wrong. Now it's clicking in. Something is wrong. And so I'm calling the nurse. I need someone to come in. I need the doctor. Something is going on. I cannot move my arm. Today I experienced where I really couldn't even walk. I need someone. I need the doctor to come back and see me and tell me what's going on. So at this particular time, I said, okay, we'll call the doctor. We'll get the neurologist back and let him come see you. He's making his rounds. So later on, he did come in and he said, Miss Sheffield, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and we're going to take you back to get another CAT scan done because normally in circumstances like this with a person suffering a stroke, sometimes they have many strokes back to back. So I'm like, okay, and he said, we'll get them to come and, take you to get another scan and see and make sure you're not suffering anything on your brain. So I'm like, okay. So at this time, I'm waiting on them, so they can bring someone else and then go from there. And finally, I can't even get the right word, but the hospital staff, the people that work transporter. So the transporter is coming in and he's taking me so I can get another CAT scan. So they take me in, they do another CAT scan. They help me, get on the table and, get me back and take me back to the room. And they said a doctor will be by to see it and he'll check and let you know what's going on. And I'm like, okay, well, can you see anything? It was like, really, we can't see anything and we're not a doctor. The neurologist have to check your scans and he'll be the one to explain it to you. So I'm like, well, okay then. So then from there, I go back to the hospital room and I'm waiting, and then, people are coming to visit me, and And I'm just talking to him and things, and just kind of shook up now because what's really going on with my body, I didn't understand it, but now it's scaring me to the point of like I cannot use my body. My whole right side of my body is like paralyzed. And so from there, the doctor comes back. And the neurologist says, Dr. Fernandez, I'll never forget him. And he said, Miss Sheffield, he said, I checked your tests, your CAT scan, the record shows you didn't have another stroke. But because of the time you were admitted, from the time you initially had the stroke, they could not give you the beta buster, the blockbuster to stop the stroke process because it would have done damage and bleeding on your brain. So what is actually happening is your stroke is actually finishing the process. I'm like, what? He said, so what's going on is you've suffered the stroke. You're not having any more, but because we could not give you any kind of medicine, your stroke is finishing out the process. So we'll just keep an observation on you for a couple of days to see how far. What is this? I'm sorry. To see how far, or how much damage that it does. So I'm like, okay. So at this particular time, I'm a little shook up now because, he's told me, yes, you had a stroke, but now it's finishing out the process. So now I'm a little nervous, and I'm sitting in the room, alone. Some people came and visited me, and now, it has really sunken in like you just had a severe stroke. And so I'm sitting in the room. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm new to this TikTok, and it's scrolling up and showing me things I don't know. And from there, I'm sitting in the room, and I'm scared. I'm nervous. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's gonna happen. I'm by myself, and a lot of us tend to put the best on the outside, but definitely when we're by ourselves, we cry in silence. And so from there, I heard the Spirit tell me, he said, don't cry. You're going to be okay. You're going to be okay. And so, I wipe my eyes and I put on that strong face and acted like the trooper that I normally am, always smiling, always laughing, getting along, joking with people. And I just waited. So it literally started like from my bottom up because it started with my leg. So it was progressing and progressing, and then it was going up and going up to my shoulder, and where I couldn't lift my arm, I couldn't move my hand. Then the next couple of days, my hand got stiff and it went to curving up, like people would have their hand curved. And, now it's kind of like, drawing up a little bit. And, I'm just like, oh my God, like, wow, But I just had to take the bitter with the sweet of it. The bitter is I am scared, terrified of what's happening to me. But the sweet side of it is I survived because I wasn't supposed to be here. I slept from 11:30 that night all the way through the next morning through the stroke. So I'm grateful. It could have been worse, and I'm just waiting to see how far it's going to go. It's going to affect my brain. It's going to affect my speech. It's going to affect me not being able to talk. Is my mouth going to be twitch? I'm just like, waiting to see what's going on. So from there, um, I, it didn't go any further. It did, um, affect me where my mouth was twitched a little bit, like side, but it wasn't like my whole face. So, it's like kind of like droop. So it was a little droop where it was noticeable, but it wasn't fully like some people you see where their whole face is shifted. So um, that was the extent of how far it went. So then after those days, the doctor came back. He said, okay, Ms. Sheffield, we're going to get a social worker in here and we're going to try to find you a rehab for you to go to a facility and get you, in rehab. So I'm like, okay. So I'm there, I'm waiting, for them to find me a facility. Well, something that normally would take, 1 or 2 days, it's taking a whole week for me. So now I'm in the hospital, almost 10 days. They can't find a facility. The facilities are full. They don't have any room for me. So now I'm getting nervous like, what's going to happen to me? Is it going to get any worse? They haven't found a facility for me. So now I'm just terrified. And so I'm waiting, I'm waiting, I'm waiting. And then, after the end of the second week, they said, we found a place for you in Savannah. And I'm like, okay. And we will take you the next day. They'll come and get you and we'll take you the next day. Okay, then. So I'm waiting. So the next day they come and get me. And they take me in the ambulance all the way to Savannah. So I'm in Savannah. And I'm nervous because I've never, experienced anything like this. And I'm just waiting. I hear myself riding down the highway and I'm going to the place. And then from there, I'm sorry, y'all. And from there, they get me into the facility. They wheel me in. And it's just a really scary experience. For anybody that's ever rode in the ambulance, it's just scary riding in the back of the ambulance because all kind of things are flashing through your mind, and thoughts that it's really this serious, that I'm in the ambulance is really to this degree, that I'm in the ambulance is really this severe. I'm in the ambulance because we take a lot of things for granted. We see the ambulance come and go. We see the fire trucks come and go, but we never realize or even take it for thought that that could be us one day. So they get me in a facility. They get me in a room. I'm in the room by myself. And, I'm away from home now and by myself. And it's just really scary. So I'm there trying to get settled in and situated and waiting on the progress to start for my physical therapy. So the next day, they're willing me to, they jump right on it. They're definitely um, efficient as far as on task with let's get you rehab or facilitate the start rehab so you can, get your strength back, to at least be able to learn to walk, at least be able to learn to try some of the exercises they give you. So because you're not going to be in there long, but enough for you to remember what they're doing. So some of these things you can do at home. So from there, I'm sorry, all these commercials popping up. So from there, they're taking me and I'm watching and looking at people in the facility, and from there, there's a bunch of people, that are stroke affected, some from car accidents, a lot of them, majority from stroke, a few people that had hip surgery, knee surgery that's there to, rehab. And I'm looking around, I'm just, observing everything around me. I'm nervous, I'm in here, I don't know what to expect. And I saw a lot of people in a lot of different conditions, in this facility. And it just, I don't even know the right word to tell you, but it just really opened our eyes to a lot of things that we don't see behind the scenes. You see your family, you see your loved ones, you see your friends, after the hospital stay, after a surgery stay, they're going back home. You see these things, but you just don't know what really happened behind the scenes before you get to the place where you're seeing them again, acclimated back into society, so to speak, going back home, not in the hospital, not in the rehab, not in the physical therapy, but you see this. So I'm in a building off from the rehab facility, an office, and the office they put me in, the first office is the office for memory. So now that I've suffered this stroke, they want to know, how bad is it? What is your memory like? Um, what do you know? Can you repeat this sentence? Can you say this sentence? Can you count from 5 to 1 backwards? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Can you say these little riddles? So they got you trying all these things, and to see where you at, to see where your mind is, how your thoughts are. I don't know. Um, and so, I'm looking at these other people that's in here with me in the facility. So I am looking at this lady that was in there with us. The office is small, so it's only like three of us in there. Me, a lady, and another lady. And so this lady that's in there with me, she suffered a stroke. The other lady in there, she suffered a stroke. So what happened is they're asking each of us one at a time to take these brain tests, these puzzles, these teasers to see if you can say words, see if your memory is long term or short term. I read the sentence and then I want you to repeat the sentence back to me. So we're doing that, and I'm going through the puzzles that they're giving me. I'm going through the teasers, and I'm just doing the test. So I was the second person. Then there was another person they asked, and she was doing okay. And then there was another one. She seemed to be doing okay, but then in the midst of us doing these tests, she's telling the physical therapist, like, what is today? What's today's date? And she'll tell her, I'm just using the name. Yeah, Miss Joanne, it's Tuesday. Okay. And then she's like, my head hurt. I got a headache. And then she'll go and drift off and be talking about something about her family. So it's like she didn't have her capacity to focus. So she's drifting here about the family. She's asking what today's date is. She's over here about something else, and then she'll tell you what happened, and then she's here. She just could not keep her focus. And so I'm a detailed person, so I'm paying attention to this. I'm like, my God, this lady, she can't. She's not focused. She don't, she don't know what's going on. Like, Lord help her, you know. And for me, I'm okay, but I'm looking at this lady and she don't even know what today's date. She don't know who the president is. And I'm like, my God. And so they did it was like an initial brain, I guess the brain part of an evaluation. And so they did it together as a group, but then they'll set you up to come one by one, each day for a certain amount of time, an hour, 30, 40 minutes, and, just keep assessing you to see what level you're on. And so when I got ready to go back the next day, it was a 101 thing, and so that's when I went to talking to the physical therapist. Like, the lady that was in here. I know you can't say too much because of the HIPAA laws, but I know she had a stroke like me. I said, but what caused her not to even, can repeat things and say things, and she's drifting off. They said that's just the kind of damage that the brain did to her brain. Everybody, is on a different level. And so I'm like, wow. And so I'm taking my tests and everything. And she was like, Miss Sheffield, you're doing really good. You're doing really well. I don't see any long-term damage with you, but you only been here a couple of days, so we're going to keep you coming back to keep checking to see maybe if you got short-term damage or something. So I'm like, okay. And so I'm looking around and, they have you do that, and they try to have you do physical, something on you to work your arm or something to work your leg, but the main thing they're focused on is really for stroke survivors to get you walking, get you moving, you know. The legs and the walking is priority, and then they're working with you with your arm, your shoulder, your hand. And so they had me do a test, well, not a test, but physical therapy with my hand. I'm sitting at a table, and there's a box. It's just a regular square hollow box with an opening, but it has a mirror on it. So the mirror is there for you as a reflection. So as they're telling you, put the hand in the box, take it out, put it in, take it out, put it in, take it out. What it is, you're watching the mirror with you doing it, but it's actually activating your brain to make your brain think that that's your other hand. And it's trying to make the brain think, okay, let's get the hand working. It's trying to fire you up and wake up your brain and get it going again. So I took that test. Then after I took that test, then they wanted me to do something as far as my walking. So now I am with them. They pushed me in a wheelchair. They had me to walk up and down the hall. Now they have me where you see people with the original walkers. They got the big tennis balls on the bottom of it, and they got me trying to push it to hold my upper strength to be able to learn to take steps. But remember now, when I left the hospital, I couldn't even lift my foot to even, move it. So they are helping me. I'm dragging my foot like a millisecond. It's taking me probably 5 minutes to drag my foot to put one foot in the front of the other foot. And so I'm just trying. And you get exhausted after 5 minutes, 10 minutes. You tired, your body just weak, giving out on you. And so, I'm doing what they're asking me to do. But in my mind, I'm like, oh my God, will I ever walk again? Is this going to happen again? Because it's so intense, it's so exhausting, it's so overwhelming that just all kind of thoughts are coming to you. Will I actually be able to walk again? Is this my life the way I know it? Is it? Is this is the end of my story? Like, is this it? And so, they did a little bit and they went back. Okay, Miss Sheffield, we're gonna try it again tomorrow. So they bring me back to the room. Well, on the way to bringing me back to the room, someone else is coming through the hospital doors in the physical therapy. Well, it's someone else from Glenn County. And I know this person, I know them very well. And I see their daughter, and she saw me and she spoke to me. And I looked and saw who it was with her. And to protect their privacy, I'm not going to say their name. And they went to the room, and the room was right across the hall from me. So, a few minutes later, she did come, and she came to visit me. And she was like, hey, Miss Lisa, how are you? Hey, Angel. Hello, Miss Angel. Thank you for coming. And she spoke to me. You doing okay? Yes, I did. I am. And so she said, yeah, Mom, she had a stroke, Miss Lisa. I said, wow, I had one too. That's why I'm here. And she said, it affected her, and it affected her speech. It affected her being able to eat. She had a feeding tube, but she could walk. So she was walking, but she was walking slow. So it didn't affect her to the point where she could not walk. It affected her to the point more so of a brain injury where she could not speak and she could not feed herself, in that capacity. And so I'm like, okay. And she was like, well, you keep an eye on my mom, and and I'm sure, and everything. And she left. So the next day I'm going to rehab again, and of course we're going through the same thing. We're doing the brain test, and we're doing the physical test on my arm to work my arm. We're doing the strengthening for me to pull myself and get up. We're doing the test, not test, but physical therapy for me to be able to learn to walk again. And it's just very, like I said, a lot of people know someone, a family member, a friend, a neighbor, or seen someone with remnants of a stroke. But nobody really knows in depth behind the doors what goes on. And when I tell you it is tough, when I tell you it is hard, when I tell you you have to be spiritual on some type of level, have a relationship with the Father on some type of level, because if not, I see why so many people give up. I see why so many people be stuck where they are. I see why they just in a predicament or a position where you see them and they're left in that position, and you like, oh wow, yeah, so and so had a stroke. Yeah, so and so. Yeah, you seen so and so. Yeah, I heard so and so had a stroke. Yeah, I heard Bob had one. I heard Judy one had one. Yeah, my cousin. Yeah, my aunt. But no one knows what goes behind the stroke, what goes behind the process, what goes behind you willing and wanting to walk, what goes behind you wanting to be able to lift your hand to eat again, what goes behind you wanting to be able to just get up and run up out of there, what goes behind you um, just thinking, who's going to help me? Who's going to take care of me? What am I going to do now? When I get home, who's going to be there? What kind of support am I going to have? Will I have any support? My family going to stick me in a nursing home? Are they going to put me, what are they going to do? All these things are running through your mind, especially when you're the type of person that is independent, takes care of yourself, do everything on your own. You've always been, a person that done things for yourself. You're not a person that I can't even get the word out. A person that just leeches or leans or depends on someone else. So these things are just physically running through your mind. And then that's mentally. So now you mentally exhausted from the procedure process of having this stroke, and then on top of it your body is physically your body is physically exhausted from you just trying to lift up your hand a couple of centimeters, just lifting it up. You can't even do that. Lifting your foot to take a step, you can't even take 5 steps without flopping and falling back down in the wheelchair because you're tired. you know you trying to lift something up as simple and light as a paper towel, a napkin. You can't even pick that up, and we all know a napkin or a Kleenex, it don't even have any weight to it. You can't even grab that with your hand. You can't even close your fingers to pick that up. You can't even make your hand go on the table to close your fingers to pick up a napkin. So that's just how severe, that's just how traumatic, that's just how stressful, that's just how overwhelming recovery is for a stroke survivor. And so I'm thinking all these things. I got custody of my grandson. I've had him since he was 1. He's 8 years old now today, and I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Who's going to help me? Who's going to help me with this baby? When I get home, am I going to be able to make it by myself in the house by myself? Am I going to be able to function? Will my family and friends and loved ones rally? Like they say, it takes a community to raise, a village to raise you in the community. And so I'm thinking all these things. And so as time go by, like I said, 2 weeks, well, of course, if you ain't got that number one A1 great grand insurance, you only in there 2 weeks and they kicking you out. So I'm in there them 2 weeks. They give me a couple more days, 13, and now I got to go. So they send me, and so Miss Sheffield, we're gonna recommend you go to another physical therapy in Augusta. Since you're doing good, there's a neurology physical therapy in Augusta. So since you're doing, making strides in this little bit of time, we would like for you to go there to continue the process. Well, they recommend me to go, but somebody or a family member or someone's going to have to take me. So now I asked my son to take me. He comes and get me. He drives me there. He takes me there. Make sure I get in there. I'm getting in my room. I got my own room, and I'm just trying to get acclimated. I'm scared to death. Now I'm further from home. Now I'm about 3.5 hours from home. Now I know in my mind ain't nobody really coming to see me now. Savannah down the road an hour, but now I'm 3 hours away. So, I'm just trying to make the best of the situation and keep my faith, and my determination in the forefront. I'm saying, okay, Lisa, you're here. My son you check, Mom, you need anything before I go? I got to get a few things, I said, well, yeah, I do need this, I do need that. I didn't know, they were going to bring me, so I don't have, personal hygiene, my own personal stuff. So my son goes to the store and he brings me some things back to last and take care of me and everything. So when he came back, I was sitting in the chair waiting on him. But when he came back, the room I actually am sitting in, it has two beds in there. So one bed is a mechanical hospital twin size bed, and the other bed is a regular twin size bed. So you got a mechanical bed on one side that lifts up and down like the hospital, and on the other side you got a regular twin size bed. So I'm looking. I'm just an observant person. I'm very detailed. I pay attention to little things people wouldn't. And so I'm just looking all around the room. I'm looking in this new surrounding. I see to the right of me, there's this stand, like a bookshelf stand, and that's where the TV is, and it got some drawers, like a hotel room setting. And on top of it, I see like a medical pan, the kind of little bin you wash from. I see a bedpan, the medical bedpan they put under you in the bed in the hospital for sick people. And then I see in top of the bedpan the pens. So I'm looking, again, I'm just really looking at my surroundings. So I'm saying to myself, when the aide come in, hello, my name is so and so, and I'll be your, CNA for tonight. And if you need anything, let me know. I'm here until 11 o'clock, and just call. They gave me a little button to press and call. I said, okay then. And so I said, well, I do got a question. She said, yes, ma'am. I said, I believe y'all left them the pens and stuff in here. I said, the person that was in the room before me, they must have forgot to take that with them. I said, so yeah, you can take that. No, she wouldn't laugh. No, ma'am, that's for you. I'm looking at her, that's for me. She said, yes, ma'am, I said, no, ma'am. That couldn't be for me. I know how to use the restroom. I'm capable. I might need a little help. I said, but I don't need no pen, and I don't need no bedpan. She said, well, Miss Lisa, we're going to leave it in here anyway, just in case you may need it. I said, well, why do you have a thought that I may need it? She said, because your records say you are considered a two-person assist. I said, so a two-person assist, so you said it takes two people to help me? She said, yes, ma'am. Sometimes it's not enough staff to help. So that's why you got those depends in that bedpan, because if it's not enough staff here to help or whatever, we may have to put that on you. And I said, well, ma'am, I ain't trying to be funny or rude, but I said, I refuse to put that on. If I have to hold it till somebody come, or if I have to wet this bed and y'all change it, I'm not wearing no depends. So, she left. And so my son was sitting. He said, well, Mom, I'm finna go. I got to go to work. I'm finna go. I said, okay. So he left. So I said, well, I guess I'll go ahead and get in this bed. He said, well, Mom, what bed you finna get in? I said, help me. I'm finna get in this twin bed. He talking about, well, Mom, you got the hospital mechanical bed right there, and it got the rails and everything. I said, I'm not getting in that. He said, but what? I said, I'm not getting in that mechanical bed. I don't need no mechanical bed. I don't want the mechanical bed. He talking, but why, Mom? You can hardly move and walk and stuff. You may roll up, move and fall and stuff. I said, well, if I fall, I got this button. They're going to have to come get me. But I'm not getting in no mechanical bed. And so, he helped me, and I got over there, sat in the bed, and laid down. And so he said, "Well, I just don't understand, Mom, why you don't want that bed." I said, "Because it's a mind thing." I said, "It's a mind thing, man." I said, "If I get in this mechanical bed, then I'm going to get used to being in that, and then it's going to handicap me where I'll never really want to try to do nothing because the bed is sitting me up, the bed is lifting me up, the bed." I said, "No, I can't do that, because when I leave here, I got to go home. I got a baby. I got stuff to do. And I can't be sitting in there. Ain't no mechanical bed coming home. And I don't need no mechanical bed home." And, no. My mind was just dead set against it. So he said, "Okay." And so, he left. And so then, sure enough, later on that night, I had to get up. I got to use the restroom. Well, this is when it really hit me, because I've been in the hospital bed in the hospital for 2 weeks, 10 days. Then I went in rehab for 10 days. I didn't really know how to take steps or walk. I'm still dragging my foot. I don't really know how to step, but I didn't know the severity of me laying down in this twin bed with no rails or no support to even pull on or grab on to even help lift my body up. So now I'm in there and I'm thinking, oh my, I can't even get up. I'm laying in the bed, I'm just there. I can move my left side, like this, but I can't move the other half of my body, the dead weight, to even lift me up, because I'm dead weight from the shoulder all the way down my whole body. I'm like, oh my God, how am I going to get up? I need to get up. Well, I'm pressing the button for help. Nobody's coming. Yes, I said, I need some help. I need to, go to the to the ladies' room. Yes, ma'am. Okay. That was 30 minutes ago. Now I'm still waiting. Nobody hadn't come. I'm pressing the button again. Hey, I need some help to go to the bathroom. If nobody don't come, y'all gonna be coming changing my linen. I need to go. So the young lady finally come. Of course, mind you, these are young girls that doesn't even care about being there. They're just there for a check. I done assess the whole thing, the energy, the way they acting and this and that, So I'm like, oh my God, I'm in this place. These people don't want to help you. They're young, they immature, they don't have compassion for people. They just here. So she finally come, but she had another young lady to come, because remember I told you they said I'm a two person assist. So that means it take two people to help me. So they come and they help pull my body to sit me up. And they brought I got a wheelchair. They bring me one of their wheelchairs and push me to the bathroom and help me, get up to get on the bathrooms. Help me when I'm finished to get up, get back in the chair, push me back to the bed, and then help me get back in the bed. And so she said, Miss Lisa, we're going to just go ahead and put one of these depends on you. So if you got to go to the bathroom, later on tonight, you'll be okay. It's okay. You can use that. It's fine. It's okay to use that depend, Miss Lisa. They trying to coax me. I said, no, I'm not wearing that. I said, no. I said, I will press the buzzer again and let y'all help me to the bathroom. I said, I'm not wearing no depend. I'm not disabled. I'm not incompetent. I am in my right mind, and my mind is sane, and I am sane. I would not wear that. And so from there, they left. So now I'm in there almost a week, the same thing from day to day, the same routine, taking an hour to come take you to the bathroom. They checking your sugar and stuff. These girls don't even know how to check your sugar. I'm like, wait a minute, what's the numbers? Let me see what the charts say. What it says if it's reading is high. What should it be? Blah, blah, blah. How much am I supposed to take if it's this number? If it's 150? How much insulin am I supposed to take if it's saying 200? Now I'm acting like a CNA on duty because these young girls is inexperienced. They whispering, asking other girls what to do. And I'm looking at the severity of this like, oh my God, where am I? Like, where am I? And so night after night, I'm going through the same thing. I'm going to physical therapy. I love the physical therapists. They're very good. They're very competent. They're very supportful, very hands-on. And so that part is going good. But the bad part is when I got to leave physical therapy and go back to this room for the rest of the day, for the rest of the night. Who's working today? Is it somebody I vibe with? Is they going to be okay? Is they going to help me or come? So, of course, when you're a new person, they're all checking you out. They're all trying you. They're all testing you to see what you're going to do, what kind of person you are. But luckily for me, I am a chameleon. I can change and blend in with whomever. If they ghetto, I know how to jive with them on the ghetto level. If they bougie, I can get bougie with them too. You know, if they just tired and worn out, then I know that's a person that really has compassion, but their body is tired, they're tired, and they're worn out. And then that's when the Lord would use me to minister and to talk to them. That's when He would have me speak to them one-on-one by themselves. And that's when they started getting close to me and telling me their story. And I'm tired, Miss Lisa. And they don't pay us number $13. And we working all these hours. And you know, and then people calling out and they want you to work a double shift and they threatening you. If you don't work, you're gonna lose your job. But I just worked the shift. You know, now they coming to me bringing all their woes to me. And I'm like, oh my God, this is what's going on. This is why they don't want to help people. This is why they treat you like that. But in the midst of it all, I end up befriending everybody on the staff there that was there while I was there. And they would give me their numbers and talk to me every day. Now they're coming and they can't wait to come because they're going to talk to Miss Lisa. You know, they're going to sit with me and sit in my room because I got a private room and talk to me and Miss Lisa so and so and so. And I'm so tired of her. And, you know, and we just talking. I said, well, you know, it's a job. You do it till you get a better job. You know, hold on. It'll get better. You know, things don't always last. Trouble don't last always, you know. And then I'm just talking to him. So now, you know, I'm getting the VIP treatment. You know, Miss Lisa, what you want? Miss Lisa, we going to so and so. You want us to order you something? Now they DoorDash or Ubering or they going to a restaurant. Miss Lisa, we'll bring you something back from Wendy's. We going here, you know. So now they're drawing to me. And so, you know, okay, it's okay now. But some nights I still would have some of those staff members that didn't care, that wouldn't come. They had cameras in the room so they could see if you do something or fall or hurt yourself, but they wasn't jumping up to come to you unless they see you fall or hurt yourself. So one particular day or evening, I'm like, I got to use the restroom. Could somebody come and help? Blah, blah, blah. Well, they ain't coming. I need to use the restroom. Can somebody please come and help me? Nobody's coming. So now I've built up a little bit of strength with the upper part of my body. So now I've learned how to grab the side of the mattress and pull myself up. You know, the pull is dead weight up. And then take my time and drag my feet to the floor. And then I'm learning how to pull the wheelchair. Now at night, I'm pulling the wheelchair directly in front of my bed. And so I've learned how to pull this wheelchair and lock it in front of me, pull myself up, turn sideways, and turn around to pivot to sit in the chair, push myself to the restroom because it got handy rail. So, you know, I'm learning to, like I said, my upper strength to pull myself, to sit down, pull myself to pivot back in that chair. Well, I'm still learning my body, even though I got this little upper strength, but it's still about balance. So now I go back to the room and I put the chair in front of the bed. And when I get up to turn around, not realizing my balance, how off it is, I done turned so fast to now I done slip and I done hit the floor. I didn't hurt myself, but I still fell on that floor. Well, like I said, they got cameras. They can see this. Now they come rushing in here, about 3 of them. Miss Lisa, what's going on? What are you doing? Oh my God, somebody help. We got to get Miss Lisa off this floor. Then the other girl like, we finna get in trouble because she ain't even supposed to get up. Miss Lisa, why did you get up by yourself? Why did you get out of bed? Why you didn't call me? I said, I did call. I said, I called y'all twice. I'm not going to use the bathroom on myself. I need some help. So now they scared. They don't weigh but $1.05 a piece. I'm about 260 pounds. So, they trying to help get me up. So, they got a man. It was a man on duty that works at night. They got him to come and assist them and help me get up. And so they helped me get up and get in the bed. Now they're nervous and scared because they're going to see the camera, the footage. They're going to ask what happened. They got to get their story together and lined up because they didn't come. And, like, Miss Lisa, please don't tell. Please don't tell. We're going to lose our job. They're already going to see that you fell. And they're going to want to know what happened, and this and that. And please, I said, well, I tell you what, I did not hurt myself. I will not tell on one account. The next time I press that button, I need y'all to come. I said, because if you don't come, I'm going to fall again, and I'm going to keep falling until y'all come help me. And from then on, baby, I hit that button. I bet you they was in there in 30 seconds, and they would help me. And, I earned their respect then, but at the other side of it, yes, I got along with them. Yes, I earned respect with them. But then I'm still looking at these other people that's in this facility, these other people that suffered strokes, these other people that's paraplegic, these other people, that had different degrees of the stroke, how it affected them. There was this one lady I seen in there, and guess what? She was a doctor. A doctor that had a severe stroke. And the stroke affected her in the capacity where she couldn't speak full sentences, and her mind, I don't know what it's called, but anyway, they would show her flashcards to read. The flashcard may say cat, house, baseball, Tuesday. Well, her mind, she sees the word, but she's not speaking what the card is saying. So they may show her a cat, and she'll say Monday. Well, what's this? Then she's stuttering, trying to get the word. That's and they'll say, well, Miss Kelly, it's a car. That's a car. Yeah, Miss Kelly. Then they'll show us something else. That's and they'll tell her, then she'll repeat it. And then, but the stroke did not affect her to the point of she did not know anything or remember some things in her brain, because she still had the mentality of, I got to get up every morning. I got to do my 2 miles walking. So she would get up and be walking around the building, and they have to walk with her. So they used to get mad because she wants to go walking. She needs someone to be with her to go walking. And so they had to go with her. So her mind was still strong enough where she knew she had a stroke. She knew it affected her brain to some capacity, but she was just still strong-willed to the point of, I'm going to walk. I'm gonna get better. I'm getting out of here. I'm calling my sister. Her sister would come and get her and take her places and bring her back, but her sister could not take care of her by herself. So that's why she was there. And I'm just looking like, wow, this stroke is really a silent killer. It can deafen you to the point of you could not walk again, you could not speak again, you could not eat again. You have to be fed through a feeding tube, your whole body paralyzed. Some people whole body paralyzed. My right side was affected. There was people where their whole body was paralyzed. They pushed in the wheelchair and got to be helped. And bed assist with the Hoyer lift. You know, that's the lift you put under people and lift you up and slide you over to the bed. Lift you and slide you in the shower. So I'm looking at these people going through all these different stages of a stroke, and I'm like, my God, help me, help me, help them, help the people, help the staff, have compassion for these people. And then another gentleman came in there, and he had a stroke, and his brothers brought him there because they could not take care of him. And his stroke affected him to the place of where it did affect one side of his body. So he walked with a limp. He walked with his hand drawn up. But he could not speak. He understood what you said, but he could not speak the words. It was Jimmy. Hey, Jimmy. How are you doing? Okay, you had a good night? Okay, then, well, maybe today will be a better day. And they would, give us our food. Of course, the hospital, nursing home settings, group home settings, you all getting the same food unless you got a special diet or whatever. And so they would give the food. And he was like me, I'm picky. I don't want anything. And they would give him that stuff. He'll push it back. Jimmy, you got to eat this. You need to eat. And he's trying to tell him, no, like, I don't eat this. He's trying to tell him. I said, he's trying to tell you he don't eat that. So they looking at me like, how she know? Because I take the time out to speak to him. We have built the communication, even though he can't talk. I'm taking time to get to know him. And so, and then I'm looking at my food too. I'm like, yeah, I don't want this neither. So then I talked to the nutritionist. Look, if I have sugar, I shouldn't be eating some of this stuff they give me. Even though I may not have been eating right at home, I got enough sense to know that the food they're giving me ain't the right food. And she was like, yeah, Miss Lisa, you can have this. I said, well, you need to put something in writing. You need to let them know I got a special diet. You need to let them know they cannot feed me the same thing they feed these people. So she put it in, and the lady that was there, she still was persistent. She still wanted to do and fix what she wanted to fix. She felt like she wasn't going to fix me a special meal, separate from everybody else. I'm going to eat what they eat, or they don't. And I didn't. And every day I would complain. And then I said, well, if y'all not going to give me what I want, then y'all need to take me to the store, because they go to the store once a week. Y'all need to take me to the store so I can buy my own food. And so that's what they did. And I bought my own food and stuff. But then it just got to the point, like I said, the facility was just so slack. It was overworked, underpaid, so you get what you pay for. Half job, half done this, half done that. It was horrible, and I just started raising my voice about things that was going on. And then one day, they had me in there because they want you to all come eat together, like a group and this and that. They don't want to feed you separate times. They don't really want you to stay in the room and eat by yourself isolated. They want you to be around other people. Well, lo and behold, after a week, I done caught COVID. Now, this is 2023. This is January 2023. I had the stroke. COVID hit 2020. Me and my grandbaby never caught the COVID. I get to this facility, It's 2024, the beginning January 2024. I got COVID. Now I'm really furious now. I'm raising saying, y'all done gave me COVID. I ain't never had COVID. Y'all want us to sit around these people? Y'all ain't doing this. Y'all ain't sanitizing. Now I'm just going ballistic now. I'm raising sand. I'm not coming back up here. I'm not sitting up here. I'm eating back here. Blah, blah, blah. Y'all better get somebody back here and clean this room. I got my own bleach. I'm pouring stuff all on the floor. They looking at me like this lady done went crazy. Y'all gonna clean this room. Y'all gonna clean it. I done caught COVID. I don't know where I got it from, but y'all finna clean this place. And I'm not coming back out there. And so they kept me in the room. They kept me in the room for about 3-4 days, and on that fourth day, they put me out of that place. I guess they said this lady raising too much sand, she a problem. We got to get rid of her, and that's what they did. They had the director to come see me the next morning and talk to me. Miss Elisa, I just wanted to come talk to you. I have some news for you. And, I just want to let you know that your insurance stopped payment. So effective this morning, I got the email. They would no longer pay for you here. So if you stay another day, it's $700 a night. I said, okay. I said, well, give me 24 hours, enough to get some time to get somebody to come pick me up, and I'll leave. And I thank you for your time. Yes, ma'am, we so sorry. Oh, we so sorry. And when she left, the Holy Spirit said, yeah, they getting you up out of here because you raising too much sand. You're a problem for them. I said, yeah, okay then, And sure enough, I called my brother in Pearson, and Kid came and got me. Y'all know him as Kid Bauer. He came and picked me up and took me home. And the next day he took me home. And when I got home, I barely just was learning in the physical therapy. I wasn't there but a week, 8-9 days. I was just learning to lift one foot to the other and walk. They say 20 feet. 20 feet is equivalent to 20 steps. And I could walk 20 steps. And so from there, I went home and I got to the apartment. I told them at the apartment prior to me going home that I was in the hospital. I suffered a stroke and I needed some rails put at the steps to hold on to help me get up the steps. Sure enough, they nigger rig and made me a post, metal poles, and added up as a stairway post to get in my door. And they was like, Miss Sheffield, you want us to build you a ramp? We can build you a real wheelchair ramp as well if you want to. I said, no, I don't want the ramp. I said, as long as I got the rails to hold on to, I'll be good. You sure? Because we can build it. I said, no, I thank you for wanting to even do that. I said, but if you build me a ramp, again, in my mind, that's a handicap. I'm like, no, because then I'll just get used to using the ramp. So I did not want anything that I felt that would be a hindrance or handicap me. I just had my mind made up that I'm going to do this. I'm going to beat this. I'm going to walk again. I'm going to be able to do this again. I'm going to be able to be back in society as a normal person again. I will be okay. And so I got home. My brother took me there. We sat there, we talked, and I'm sitting around, just looking around, assessing everything at home like I was in the nursing home. Because now everything is not like I know it to be anymore. I'm looking at the apartment. I'm looking at the house and how it's set up. I'm looking at everything. In my mind, I'm thinking how far it is to walk all the way down the hall to the room, how far it is to walk to the kitchen, how far it is to walk to the end of the hall to get to the restroom. So now I'm like upset, just analyzing and thinking, how can I do this? Can I make it? Can I walk? Can I do, do these things? And so I'm in the house, and I'm like, Lord, ain't nobody here but me and you. And you know what? For people that know the Father, that know God, that call themselves a Christian, that know there's a higher being, higher power, or whatever it is you want to call it. But the word said at the end, all knees will bow, all tongues will confess Him Lord and Savior. There's only one God. But He let me know, well, I let Him know, Father, your word told me you will be a father to the fatherless. You will be a mother to the motherless. You're our all in all. You said we have not because we ask not. You said you'll never leave us nor forsake us. You told me that we can do all things through Christ that strengthens us. You told me it's impossible to please you without faith. You told me that we could do all things through you that strengthen us. And then that's when I've always had a relationship with God. I've always trusted Him. I've always had faith in Him. I've always knew He existed. I knew an existence of Him. I knew that there is a spirit, the Holy Spirit, and the Holy Spirit is real. I do believe in fivefold ministry, the gift of tongues, Holy Spirit, prophecy. I believe in these things. I've seen it happen. I've seen these things manifested. I've seen people get demons delivered out of them. I've seen people, speaking in native tongues. I've seen people prophesy to you certain things that nobody but you and the Father know about your life. Telling you things nobody but you in private, and whatever the situation you went through. So when these people come to you as a man or woman of God and speaking to you and telling you what thus says the Lord, you look at them funny and you wonder how they know this stuff, and you wonder where this come from, and you saying in your back of your mind, well, okay, God must be Israel. Jesus must be, He did do these things. You go to questioning, which I've always loved Him. I've always had a relationship. Now, have I always followed Him? No. Have I always yielded to Him? No. Have I always, tore down the church doors? At one time, every Sunday night, I was kicking those doors in at a younger age when I got introduced to Christ at the age of 22. I was kicking them doors in. I was doing, I was there on Wednesdays and Fridays, holy night, prayer night. I was one of the ones that would be on your knees at the altar, tearing, calling like the old folks back in the days, Jesus, 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 I was one of those. But then we stray away. It happens, And so I knew He always existed. But again, when you're young, you want to do what you want to do. You want to, you want to see that grass green on the other side. This side is what's right, but then you still be tempted by the other side because the Bible tells us the spirit is willing, but the flesh get weak. So, you're going to experience things. You're going to try things. Some of us go out there and try things and get a taste of it and say, I ain't never going back. And stay out there and let the streets eat them up. Let the streets consume them. Let the streets beat them up. Let the streets just tear them ragged. When they come back, they're nearly on their deathbed. But that's the kind of God we got, a merciful God, a graceful God, an on-time God, and I thank God for that as well, too. But when this stroke happened to me and I was sitting at the apartment by myself, and the next day they brought my grandbaby back to me, he was 5, and I couldn't even walk to the bus stop. I said, my God, I need you now. I need you. How can I do this? How am I do this? I can't even walk to the door. I can't even get down the steps. I'm a prisoner in my own house. I'm in the house, but I can't get out the house. I'm like, Father, I need you. I need your help. I need you now. I need you more than ever. You say you love us, you love us. We here, you here for us. We have not because we ask not. Lean on you. Don't trust on our own understanding. So I'm bringing it all to you now, and that's just what I did. And so my brother say, "Well, Lisa, I'll come in the mornings and get them and take them to the bus stop." I said, "Okay, then, and we'll set some up if he have to go to like an after school program, and I'll pick him up and bring him back to you." So I'm like, "Okay," but I thank God for favor, My brother, he didn't think it was highway robbery to come take his time to go to work every morning before he go to work to take the baby to the bus stop or either drive the baby to the school and, put him in the after program where he paid for him to be in. So I thank God for my brother being, you know, but it just lets you know that even when you do things on your own, even when you used to doing things by yourself, even when you used to doing things on your own, you're not alone. And that's what the Lord was showing me. Lisa, you cannot do this by yourself. You got to swallow that pride. You got to put that pride to the side. You got to open your mouth and tell people you need help. You need to let them know you cannot do this. Quit trying to figure it out yourself. Quit trying to do it yourself and tell people you need help. And so he broke me down. As they say, he broke me to my kneecaps, baby. And I guarantee you, I want to open in my mouth. Hey, I need y'all help. Hey, I need so and so. Do you mind doing so and so? Do you mind? Hey, I never asked it nobody for nothing. I did it on my own. And I may ask for something if it was something I was trying to do. But baby, that stroke, it broke me down. It broke me down to the point of you can't do this one by yourself. You're gonna have to open your mouth and tell some people you need some help. And that's what I did. And so I thank God for favor. The relationship I built with the young lady at the bus driver, because I moved back to Brunswick, me and my grandson. Just a little backstory. We were living in Florida. We were living in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I went back there in 2020, right during the beginning of the pandemic, when I got him. When I got him in custody of him, I said, I'm going back to Florida. I don't like Brunswick. It's home. I love it, but it's just, I've always felt like I outgrown Brunswick. I always felt like Brunswick was just too small for me. I've always felt like it was something more for me. I always felt like, I don't know where it is, but this just isn't it. This is my home. This is where I grew up in my teenage years. This is where I had my children, but it's just something more for me. God got something more for me. Even though I wasn't living the life I should have been living, I still knew God had something more for me. And so from there, I moved to Florida, South Florida, took the baby, pandemic, and really the father didn't want me to go to Florida. But because there's the father and there's the enemy, they're both spiritual. They both speak to us. The enemy whisper in your ear, just like the father whispers in your ear. But it's up to us to develop a relationship here with the father to know his voice from the enemy's voice, to know he's for good and the enemy is for evil and slick and scheming and conniving. And the Bible says the enemy comes nothing but to steal, kill, and destroy. I tell my children and I tell anybody that'll listen to me when they come and talk to me, because people always draw to me and talk to me. I can meet somebody, I don't even know them. 20 minutes later, they're telling me their life story. That's just how I'm used spiritually, that I connect to people. And when I was going to Florida, it wasn't really, he didn't want me to go. But I didn't hear that because there was so much noise with other stuff going on. I got to get out of here. I don't want to be here. But it wasn't my time. He was going to allow me to leave Brunswick, but the path he set for me, I didn't want it. That's how anything that is for you with God is good. It's going to run smooth. It's going to flow. The door is going to open, and you're going to be able to walk through them, no hesitation, no problems, no hiccups. Me trying to get to Fort Lauderdale, it was something every time, but I was just determined no matter what. Now, in my mind, I said, ain't nothing but the devil. I'm gone. I'm leaving. He ain't stopping me. I'm going back to Fort Lauderdale because, I liked it. I knew my way around. I knew people. I was there for 6 years, so I knew it. So, me and my baby go back. I found a place. I got a place. And I stayed there. Well, how I know it wasn't intended for me to be there is because we stayed there. And after 1 year, the lease was up during the pandemic. That's when it first hit, 2021. That's when every state, everybody remember, they started doing them bidding wars. Bidding wars on the rent. A $700 rent, $1,400. A $600 rent, $1,200 the next year. A $800 rent, $1,600. So I'm just staying in a place that was $800. It done jumped up to $1,200. I'm like, I can't afford this. I can't afford this. Now I'm thinking, Lord, where I'm gonna go? Me and my baby. But on the other side of it, I knew people in Fort Lauderdale. I built several relationships with people there till I was like, hey, y'all, I know y'all know what's going on. I'm talking to them on the regular. This pandemic, the rent, yeah, Miss Lisa, yeah, it's going up. I said, I just wanted to know, could I stay there for a couple of months or maybe a month until I find a place? My lease is up. Sure, Miss Lisa, you can come. So people will open their doors to me. I've never had that problem. But when I went to stay with the person, they opened their door for me. I love her like a sister. And she was in a 1-bedroom. She opened her door for her and her son and let me sleep in the front room. And her son slept with her in the room. Thank God, And so me and my baby in there, we staying there. Now I done got the job with JetBlue. Now I'm working for JetBlue Vacations, and I'm like, oh my God, this is my dream job because I love to travel. I'm always traveling. Oh, I'm never leaving this job. Well, I got the job and I'm staying with her. But I'm still running into issues like the internet speed ain't fast enough. I need faster speed. Well, when you're in somebody else's house, you can't tell them how to run their house. You can't tell them, hey, I need you to get that $70 package. But this $30 package ain't working. Even if I'm paying for it, that's their house. They run their house their way. So I'm like, okay, now I got to travel an hour all the way to Davie, Florida from Fort Lauderdale, an hour back to get back to go work at the office because the internet speed isn't up to par where I'm staying. Now I got to rush the rush hour traffic, pick up the baby on time. Every day I'm sliding at 5 minutes to 6 o'clock, 6:05 because of the traffic, picking him up, going to work, dropping him off. Now that's more stress. Okay, now I'm staying with her. Was supposed to be in 30 days. It done turned into 1 year. I'm like, oh my God, I gotta leave. I can't stay. I can't be here. I thank God for her opening the door. I thank God she let me in. But this has never happened to me before. I've never went anywhere and stayed any place over 1 month. And God always blessed me with a job and a place. Quick. 30 days. Quick. So when this happened, I'm like, what is going on? What is you trying to tell me? So now my goddaughter from Brunswick, she moved the same time I moved. She moved to near Orlando, Florida, Altamont Springs. And so I would talk to her, and she was like, Lisa, you got to come down here. She was a property manager. You need to come here. You can't stay there with them You need a place for you and that baby. I'm like, I know, but I don't want to lose my job. You know, I want to keep my job. I got my dream job, and I go to Orlando, down near Orlando. I don't know. And so she like, well, Miss Lisa, you got to come. You can't stay there. I'm still trying to hold on to my job. I said, well, I tell you what, I'm going to go talk to my boss. And they say I can keep my job and move there, then I'm coming. I'm so determined. I want to hold on to this job and don't want to let it go, that I'm willing to stay wherever just to keep this job. So sure enough, I went to the office and I talked to the supervisor and his boss, and they had a meeting with me, and they said, Miss Sheffield, we're going to support you. We know you have this baby. You can move down there because that's only 45 minutes from Orlando. Orlando is our home base. So you're within a 100-mile radius of the home base. So we're going to allow you to go. We're going to approve you to go. So I thank God. So I got up, I packed up the truck, the U-Haul, put my car on the back of the U-Haul, and me and my grandbaby sat in the front seat of that big old 20-foot U-Haul truck. I pulled the car on the back of it and drove it down there. Drove them 3 hours, and I stayed in Altamont and got a place. God opened the door. She was a property manager. And she was like, don't even worry about it. My credit was jacked up, raggedy. She said, don't even worry about it. I'm the property manager assistant, and I'm going to let you come stay there. I don't care what your credit say. Come on. And I thank God for that. She gave me a 1-bedroom apartment for me and my baby. We stayed there. Everything was good. I got my job. I kept my job with JetBlue. I'm good. So I'm like, I'm in heaven. All right, I'm a little bit closer to home. Instead of 6 hours from Fort Lauderdale, now I'm 3 hours from Brunswick, Georgia. So I'm okay. So I'm there. Everything's going okay. The baby's 3 years old. He ain't old enough to fully be in school, but he can go for like a couple of hours pre-K, really daycare. And so I'm working my job. He's going there. I'm going to pick him up. Everything is good in my mind. Well, after that year, getting close to a year, 1 month or 2 months before the year, they say, Miss Lisa, now that everything's back to normal, now it's 2023. Everything's back to normal. We're going to start back where we have our monthly meeting at headquarters in Orlando, Florida. I'm like, well, okay, that's 30, 40 minutes. Okay, no problem. Well, it was a problem. The baby, 3 years old, he's not in school for full-time schooling from 7 to 2 or 7 to 3. He's only in there for 4 hours. So now I'm trying to figure out, oh, Lord, how I'm going to go to the meeting and have a baby and get back and get him in time, fighting Orlando traffic. If anybody know traffic, it's like Jacksonville traffic, Atlanta traffic, Savannah traffic. During that rush hour, it take you about 3 hours, 2 hours to get home. So I'm like, oh, Lord, how am I going to do this? How am I going to beat this? So they told us, well, you're allowed to miss 2 in-person meetings, but after those 2, no more. It's a strike. So I missed the first 2 trying to figure it out. So then the 3rd month come, I said, okay, let me get his godmother. So I called his godmother. She lived in Jacksonville. So that's about 2 hours, 2 hours and 15 minutes from me. I'm like, Diamond, I need you. I need you to come and watch the baby just one day a month. They're making me have these meetings, and would you please come, keep them for me? And so she would take her time out and spend the night and stay that day. Some days she'll just come that morning and stay, and she'll go back. From there, she wash them, and then, I go to the meet and come back. Well, the next month I got to do it again. Well, that's a lot of back and forth on the road. So now I'm driving 2 hours to meet her in Jacksonville at an exit, come back, drive another hour to get to, 3 hours now to meet her and go back home. So from there, I'm like, Lord, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? So the Holy Spirit says it's time to go home. Okay, going home, well, I got to go home. I can do this. I don't need to go home. Why I'm going home? It's time to go home. So I'm like, no, I can figure this thing out. I'm doing good. I can figure this out. I don't need to go home. And so the next month come. Now I'm no longer going to Jacksonville. I'm going all the way to Brunswick, Georgia to get someone to watch the baby and then get them to meet me back. Well, I'm getting extremely worn out now, physically, mentally. It's just a lot now. A lot of driving, 6 hours a day driving just for a meeting once a month. He's too young to go to, I don't trust nobody to watch him. He's too young, I don't have him in daycare program, because I'm working from home, so I didn't need a daycare. I had trained him and kept him entertained while I was working, so he knew when Granny had the headphones on, you got to be quiet. I didn't train him. So now I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Holy Spirit says it's time to go home. So then I went to thinking, well, maybe I could. I guess I can go home. At least I will have a little bit of support for the baby. At least there will be somebody there, and, if I need to go to the meeting once a month. So I said, okay, Lord, I always test them like this. Lord, if it's your will, if this is what you want me to do, make it smooth, make the transition smooth, and make it where there's no problems, and I know it's you. And so, sure enough, I had just signed the lease to renew the lease in Florida. And so I told the lady I may be leaving. She said, well, Miss Lisa, you got two options. You got one option where you can sign it, out early, and you're going to have to pay, $1,300 or $1,800 rent, and then the other month. Or you got an option where you can take a chance, ain't no guarantee. Where you sign the other option is where if somebody moves in your apartment within the 30 days or whatever, you're no liable, you're not responsible. But if nobody moves in, every month you got to pay a partial amount of the rent until somebody moves in there in your lease. So I signed the first thing. Okay, I'll just pay the $1,300. Well, I talked to my kid's mother. I said, Aaliyah, they said I got this option because by this time she done moved back home. I said, they said I got this option where I can sign the lease and pay this money, or I can sign the other option if somebody move in and I ain't got to pay nothing, but I don't know what to do. So, oh no, Lisa, you sign that option to where if somebody moves in there in 30 days, you're not responsible. And she said, because you're in a one bedroom, people are always looking for them. Believe me, it's going to go. So I went back to the office and say, I changed my mind. I want to take my chances with the other offer. They said, okay, then. So I packed up, loaded up again to U-Haul, drove me and my baby to Brunswick. I found the place, sight unseen. I didn't even go to Brunswick to find the place. I was just looking online. And anybody from Brunswick know about them apartments, Westway Apartments on 341, beside the Texaco station, back up in the cut. And I got one of those sight unseen. As long as it wasn't in no bad neighborhood, I was like, I just had to deal with it for now. And sure enough, I got the apartment. I got approved for it. I loaded up Went there, and no sooner than I moved in the apartment, within a couple of weeks, somebody moved to my apartment in Florida, so I didn't even have to pay anything. I said, okay, Father, I know it was your will because everything worked out. And I moved back to Brunswick July 10th, 2023. And I had the stroke January 3rd, 2024. 6 months within me going home. That was his will for me to be home, to be around people, to be with family and stuff, with me and that baby. And I had that stroke. And so, you know, like I said, now I'm back home from the stroke, from Savannah, in the house by myself, could barely take 10 steps, and I'm trying to figure out what to do. So I'm going to leave the story right there. Tune in for part 2. I really want to do this on YouTube because I am more comfortable. I can navigate a little better with me being limited with certain things I can do. I tell everybody, God still got me under construction. He's still working on me. So some things I can do and some things I can't do, but I won't complain. I count it all glory. But y'all follow me. Go to my YouTube channel. My name is Lisa's Life Lessons on there. And if you want to find me by my channel name, it's Limited Edition with the capital L, the capital E, Limited Edition 66. And find me, sign up, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and if you enjoyed my story, like it. And follow me here also as well on TikTok so I can keep you posted when I will do the second part of my story, the silent killer that didn't kill me. And we'll continue the journey. So y'all go ahead and follow me and subscribe to my YouTube channel. They said I had to have at least 50 members before I can even do a live. So there's a lot of things I have in mind, a lot of plans that I want to do with you guys, with me being a travel specialist, a travel agent. I've traveled all over, not all over the world, but I've traveled enough when I'm well versed. And I have future plans for my place that I reside in. I left the U.S. and I'll tell you that. Also at another time on YouTube as well. I'm living in the country of Panama. I'll tell you the rest in the second half of my story, Silent Killer, that'll lead up to me being in Panama. And then from there, the sky's the limit. I hope this encouraged someone. I hope it lifted someone. I hope it gave someone strength to let you know there is light on the other side of a tragic health scare. There is still life. There is still hope. There is still strength. There is still the sky's the limit. There is still, we can do all things through Christ who strengthens us. God bless you. Thank you. Thank you for watching. The few that watch, I thank you. And also, again, follow me on YouTube so I can get those subscribers and be able to go live. I thank you, and I'll do the rest of my story. Tune in and hit the notification bell. I'll probably tell the rest on Friday. Thank you, and have a good night, guys. And thank you again for watching.